This week on The Watchman, welcome to the Dead Sea. This is the lowest point on Earth. You can float here, but nothing can live here in these tremendously salty waters. But there are signs that could be changing. We actually have pockets of fresh water forming right here along the shoreline of the Dead Sea. Incredible salt formations are now visible to the naked eye for the first time in thousands of years. And yet, the Dead Sea is in trouble. Today we will bring you the inside story. We'll show you how one of the great wonders of the world is becoming even more wondrous and how Bible prophecy is being fulfilled. So come with us for a boat ride on the legendary waters of the Dead Sea. Well, Noam, the last time we were with you here on the Watchman Show, we were in Sderot along the Gaza border. Now we are on the majestic Dead Sea. What are we doing here?
Half of my adult life, I've been dealing with the security situation on the Gaza border.
Yeah.
And I need to do something for my own soul, I'll be honest. And I went on to start exploring and to document the beauty and magic of the land of Israel.
Because you are a pretty prolific still photographer, too.
This is my second wife over here, is the camera. And for a couple of years, I wanted to document all the surrounding of the Jerusalem area, all the Judean desert surrounding Jerusalem. And naturally, I got to the northern part of the Dead Sea. Yeah. When I came here to explore the Dead Sea, I found Jackie.
Jackie, the boat captain, who our viewers will meet shortly.
Correct. And I went on this boat excursion. I was just amazed to see this world wonder from up close. And by the time I was not sure yet what I've just experienced, but then the second time I went on this boat ride, I brought my parents. I had a group from Denmark coming with me. And when I went on this boat, I did not recognize the places I've been to because everything has dramatically has changed.
Here on the Dead Sea?
On the Dead Sea.
Now, we just know the Dead Sea is the Dead Sea. Nothing lives here. It's full of salt. But things are happening here.
Non-stop things happening. Like I said, for eventually doing this over a period of time, after 3 years, I could tell you there's so much life coming out from the Dead Sea. When it hit me personally, seeing that the waters receding, starting this project.
The waters of the Dead Sea are getting lower and lower rapidly.
In the lowest in recorded history, actually, today. And realizing that I'm actually the first one to document the Dead Sea on the boats over a period of time. And I realized the content I had, I got a lot of interest, if it's through the media here in Israel and abroad. And I was able to really capture and visualize the receding water level, but at the same time, I was able to share with people around the world the beauty and a mystical aspect of the Dead Sea.
Yeah, in a spiritual place, a prophetic place, as we'll discuss, a biblical place, many mentions of the Dead Sea one day in the future, coming back to life. Right now, though, you and I are going to go with Jackie, the only boat operator on the entire Dead Sea, for quite an adventure today. You're taking us where now? I believe there's a salt island here in the Dead Sea?
Yes, we'll be seeing all these different geological phenomena appearing outside the water, showing how there's life in the Dead Sea specifically, creating these beautiful formations coming out from the water, calling it the Salt Chimneys. Yeah. We'll try even to explore fish in some of the sinkholes in the fresh water ponds.
Along the shorelines here.
On the shorelines where there's a lot of vegetation going on, just showing how there's life that can actually be created over here on the Dead Sea shores.
Yeah, you know, the Dead Sea is such a tourist attraction. People come here to float, obviously, on the salty waters, to get the minerals. But the exciting thing that we're going to show people today, Noam, and you're going to lead the way, is that the Dead Sea is coming alive. It's not so dead anymore.
It's definitely coming alive, for
So
sure.
Noam, lead the way. Let's go. Okay, here we go. Well, Noam, this is pretty amazing. We are actually walking right now on an island of salt in the middle of the Dead Sea. But this island of salt that everyone can see right now, this was not visible just a short time ago, right? What's going on here?
Correct. Actually, where we're walking right now was emerged out of the water like a month and a half ago.
That's all.
We're literally walking the lowest place on Earth, and specifically on this new salt shore, and that's the awe of it, of really capturing what we're dealing with right here.
Noam, this is absolutely stunning. I can't believe I'm standing here in the middle of the Dead Sea on an island of salt, number one. But number two, what's happening here? I mean, what's going on? This island, like you said, was not here too long ago. Now we're here. We're in the middle of the Dead Sea. The salt island is here. What is going on?
Well, the truth is, a year ago, we were just exploring the upper level right over here.
Yeah.
So this is completely new, emerging out of the water specifically. So this is considered literally the lowest surface on Earth, specifically. And because right now we are at the corner, we have a lot of waves coming in, which are splashing into this side curve over here, which are creating these gorgeous salt stalactites, which are one-of-a-kind thing to be exploring over here nonstop. And these things, we can have a closer look.
Yeah, right over here.
Look at this. They're actually, they're still dripping. Look at this. They're still dripping.
See that? Wow.
They're still dripping over here, is because when you have splashes of the water with all the salt and minerals, eventually drops down and creates these stalactites.
As stunning as it is visually, and it's a salt castle in the middle of the sea, it's not exactly a good thing, right? Because the water is receding.
Correct.
And that's not good.
I mean, this is right now, we're talking about in the lowest in recorded history, the Dead Sea is in the lowest. At the same time, part of, you know, being born and raised in Israel, trying to see the optimistic or the positive aspect of it. What's amazing to be exploring the Dead Sea shores in the past 3 years is, on one hand, the water is receding. We are losing the Dead Sea, this world wonder. At the same time, being exposed to the magical formations appearing outside the water, the magic and beauty. That's the contrast of this very interesting story, very interesting, one-of-a-kind place we have here in Israel.
Tell us a bit more about some of the minerals and some of the ways the Dead Sea and what's here really blesses the world.
For sure. I mean, you have a combination of 26 minerals in the Dead Sea. And actually, a lot of these minerals, they provide up to 25% of the world's agriculture, which are feeding up to 1 billion people.
These minerals,
These minerals at the Dead Sea. So, and the fact it's called the Dead Sea, it's everything but being dead. And this is what I've been exposed to, that there's so much life coming out from this place specifically, which we'll be seeing later on. Life coming out from the Dead Sea and on its shores, but at the same time, how this is providing the entire world with rich minerals, especially for feeding people for agriculture, is something amazing to explain the global importance of this one-of-a-kind place, which is disappearing very fast. And this is part of our purpose, is in any ways possible to excite people around the world and to inspire people around the world with this very unique story of the Dead Sea, using a lot of forms, a lot of arts of media to really try showing people this place, like we said, like never seen before. The only way to get here to this island is only by taking a boat. There's only one boat on the Dead Sea today, and exploring with this boat is our way of building access to come to these shores and to educate people, showing people firsthand, and using the content of sharing this place and hopefully to inspire the next generation to speak up for the heritage of the land.
This is cutting edge stuff, number one. Number two, there's a biblical link here too, which you and I will discuss. We're talking Ezekiel, Zechariah, good stuff. Noam, lead the way. Let's kind of canvas this salt castle in the middle of the Dead Sea a little bit more. Hey everyone, Erick Stakelbeck here. I want you to join me in Washington, D.C. this July for the premier pro-Israel event in the United States. The 14th annual CUFI Washington Summit will be held on July 7th, 8th, and 9th at the DC Convention Center, and it will be our biggest and best yet. Thousands of pro-Israel Christians will join together and lift their voices in the nation's capital for Zion's sake. CUFI's founder and chairman, the one and only Pastor John Hagee, will be there. He'll be joined by the U.S. Ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, and many other very special guests. But most importantly, attending CUFI's Washington Summit gives you the chance to personally deliver a strong pro-Israel message to your members of Congress. I'll be in D.C. this summer, and I hope you'll be there too to raise your voice for Israel for such a time as this. Hey, we're here on this boat, the only boat on the Dead Sea. Pretty amazing. I have to say, man, I'm not the biggest seafarer, I guess you would say, but I feel so relaxed here. I feel, first of all, the fresh air. We're out here on the sea, out here on the water. It's just a good feeling to be out here.
It's interesting you mentioned about that, because the fact is that in the Dead Sea area, you have 6 to 8% more oxygen.
Really?
So the fact is, like, if you have, people, hiking up the Himalaya mountains, you have less oxygen, less air.
Sure.
Here, it's exactly opposite.
Because of low altitude.
Because this is the lowest place on Earth, you have more oxygen, which is bringing a lot of attention from the scientific world and the therapeutic world. Only those few percentage of more oxygen is something amazing in terms of, mainly because of the therapeutic world. People that have breathing problems, if it's asthma or skin diseases.
I have sinus issues.
Everything here just opens up. There's actually also signs about anxiety that over here you're being treated for that, because you naturally feel more calm over here because you actually have more oxygen. There's even signs behind the diabetes getting treated over here. So again, I'm talking about the Dead Sea as a political term. Exactly the opposite, providing so much life for people, not only, like we said, around the world with the minerals, but people coming here from the entire world to be treated, because it's very unique atmosphere. That's how special and unique this place actually is. The Dead Sea is also known as a huge spiritual place with the biblical stories out over here. Even though it started off as a curse in the biblical time, this curse has been over, and now it's this time of prosperity, when you have the life coming out from this place. So the first time we went to explore the Dead Sea with this boat, we went to explore the shores, seeing the sinkholes, which is considered a devastating aspect for the entire environment, closing off roads, closing off beaches, but at the same time, seeing these sinkholes, fish, small fish coming out, something amazing.
In the Dead Sea?
In the Dead Sea shores.
In the area, yes.
But for sure, So part of us being out here in the Dead Sea, this political term called the Dead Sea, even though it's the Salt Sea in Hebrew, it's, like we said, everything but being dead. And where we're going right now is seeing literally the life coming out specifically from the Dead Sea waters. And later on, we'll try exploring the shores to actually locate some of these fish.
Some of these living organisms along the shoreline of the Dead Sea, as you said, Noam, anything but dead. And we're going to discuss the biblical link. We're talking Ezekiel, Zechariah, prophetic stuff. But first, Jackie, let's go to those Salt Chimneys. Yalla, let's go.
I started this business 6 years ago. And 7 years ago, when we tried to write the Dead Sea in UNESCO as one of the wonders of the world, I had a smaller boat, and I used to take photographers, because there's been photographers from all over the world, and just to see the beauty. And from that, I started the business, and my business is actually a awareness tool. And the idea is to bring awareness to the Dead Sea and to show people what there is to lose. You know, I don't want to show the darkness and the despair and that. I want to show the future. You know, I want to show what there is to lose. And by that, to try to help to save the Dead Sea. Now, what I'm doing is awareness tours. For me, everybody that gets off the boat has to be an ambassador for the Dead Sea. And that's what I'm trying to do.
The silence of millions of Christian bystanders during Hitler's rise to power emboldened the Nazis to carry out their evil extermination plan against the Jewish people. Today, anti-Semitism is on the rise again, and some are even claiming the Holocaust never happened. As Christians, we must not be silent in response to these lies.
To see evil and not call it evil is evil. Not to act is to act. Not to speak is to speak.
This month, CUFI is offering a powerful new mini-book, The Sin of Silence, which documents the first-hand accounts of both the perpetrators and witnesses of the Holocaust. As the generation that experienced the Holocaust disappears, we must keep the memories of these witnesses alive to ensure that such a horror never happens again. Call Christians United for Israel at 210-477-4714 or go to kufi.org/silence to receive your copy of The Sin of Silence when you support CUFI with a gift of any amount.
Noam, this is one of the highlights of our adventure here on the Dead Sea. These are the Salt Chimneys. They're right below us. Look at these.
This is the life emerging out of the water, literally, as we speak.
Yeah.
And the fact is how these actually created, you actually have fresh water springs coming from the Hebron and Jerusalem mountains, underneath the ground, underneath the Dead Sea. And in this kind of high salinity of water, fresh water and salt water do not mix. So somehow you have these streams of fresh water.
Coming from Hebron.
Coming from Hebron, correct.
Yeah.
And the micronism, okay, their job is actually somehow they cause the squeal of the salt to go around them, creating these sleeve of the salt, okay, and inside of the fresh water actually goes inside. This sleeve, this water chimney. Why it's called chimney? Because on the top of it, you actually have the water leaving.
Okay, and they actually look like chimneys. They're little towers there in the Dead Sea that we're looking at.
And what's interesting, so this whole area is considered a forest of salt chimneys.
Wow,
and this was discovered to science like 6 years ago.
Great
this
point.
Actually created.
This was not visible too long ago.
Well,
right?
the truth is, we did have these kind of formations on the shores over here, but nobody actually knew what that actually was until they started to investigate. About a couple of years ago, all these different research about saving the Dead Sea, they basically realized about this unique geological phenomena that's actually happening these days because of the water level receding.
I've never seen anything like it, Noam. And you mentioned saving the Dead Sea, and that's one of your life's missions. Why did it get like this? You know, we're talking about the water receding. How did this all kind of unfold? Why does the Dead Sea need saving?
It's not a question of water going out, leaving the Dead Sea. There's no water coming into the Dead Sea. So it's very easy for green parties putting the focus on the industry, on the industrial, and the companies, on the all the companies in the south pumping out the water. That's only 30% of the problem. Wow. The major problem of the Dead Sea, while we're losing the Dead Sea, is because the historical flow has almost been dried out. We're talking about the Jordan River, the Sea of Galilee. So we're talking about the much bigger picture here that's connected to the Israel's water treasures, talking about the most biblical, enchanted water bodies of Israel that are being in a much more actually worse condition than the Dead Sea today. And that's why our focus, looking into the long run, in order to save the Dead Sea, you got to save the Sea of Galilee first of all. Wow. And of course, this is the whole Middle East politics about the Dead Sea, because you have on the other side, you got Jordan.
Jordan's right there.
Jordan's actually the fourth.
A few miles away from where we're sitting right now.
10 miles away across, that's it.
On the other side of the Dead Sea.
But the thing with Jordan, this is like the fourth country in the world having the least fresh water per capita. They have no drinking water whatsoever.
There's a water crisis in the Middle East.
The entire Middle East, for sure. Actually, the almighty rivers of the Middle East have been dried out for the first time in history. The Tigris, the Nile, this is the first time in history these water bodies have been dried out. Overall, the solutions for Israel, for water management, for water technology, this is a model case of the entire world. Mastering the Dead Sea, saving really the Dead Sea, and this is what brought me to really see the potential, is a model case of the entire world, and specifically for the Middle East. Yeah. The water crisis around the world is going to be one of the main issues that the entire world is going to have to be facing in the next decade.
And Israel is helping to solve that crisis.
Israel already has a lot of those solutions. Israel is considered a global leader in water management, water technology, education. Already now you have a lot of cooperation with countries around the world. Yeah. And like we said, being involved with the Dead Sea and having a vision of really saving the Dead Sea on the long run can be a model case for the entire Middle East and also around the world.
Every year, the Christians United for Israel Washington Summit gets bigger, better, and more powerful.
I have faith that with God's help, and with the men and women gathered here, with all those who cherish Israel, and with President Donald Trump in the White House, the best days for Israel and for America together are yet to come.
What's amazing about Christians United for Israel is not just the power of your voice, it's also the importance of the cause you have dedicated your voice to. Standing up against this global pressure campaign on Israel and the Jewish people goes to the heart of our friendship and the heart of America. And the tip of the spear is Christians United for Israel.
Join Pastor Hagee and top leaders from Israel and America this July for the 2019 CUFI Washington Summit. Register now at www.cufi.org/summit.
What you see here, you see the wall, and you saw when we came with the boat, we actually are right now over a sinkhole. Sinkholes in the Dead Sea is a result of fresh water that are going under the ground, meeting the sediment layers, and this is all the white that you see out here on the beach, and melting them. Okay? When they melt them, they create a cavity. Now, if we have a freshwater spring that is going under the sea, and it's going through sediment layers, it will melt them. So we do have sinkholes that also occur under the water.
Fresh water on the shoreline of the Dead Sea. Look at this. And this is pretty recent, right?
Yeah, these are actually sinkholes, what we're seeing over here. Okay. So on one hand, it's a devastating aspect of the land violently causing huge holes.
Kind of an environmental disaster, I guess you would say, right?
An environmental disaster. On the other hand, it's a beautiful aspect of it.
It's a little oasis here.
At the same time, this is fresh water. These sinkholes are basically fresh water that are melting the sediments of the water itself, of the salts, causing cavities and having basically the earth to collapse.
So that's what causes the sinkhole.
Correct. And some of these sinkholes, again, the different colors that we saw beforehand, is because of different minerals that are actually are in the sinkholes themselves.
And they're popping up all along the shoreline of the Dead Sea.
Actually, one of the most rapid places in the world you have over here of the sinkholes, which are, causing disasters. We have to close down roads, beaches because of that.
Near the Dead
no
Sea.
Infrastructure of this region because no insurance company will give you a place to build anything. On the other hand, again, this is the contrast of it, all the life coming out from these sinkholes. Wow. I mean, we just heard birds. You have bird migration right over here. Look at all this vegetation.
Yeah, there's lush vegetation here. There's birds. We hear them chirping in the background. There's massive migration coming through here, Noam. Right. And there has been sightings, including by yourself, of fish.
Yeah, correct. In this single specifically, actually, we saw some small fish. We do not see them right now.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, the fact you have vegetation just shows that salinity went down here, and you can actually have living creatures over here.
I think of the book of Zechariah that says, waters will flow from Jerusalem to the eastern sea. This is to the east of Jerusalem, the Dead Sea. And you think of the book of Ezekiel, chapter 47, Noam, it talks about the Salt Sea becoming fresh, of fishermen working at the Dead Sea. And we see a glimpse of this now coming to fruition. Look, this is fresh water in front of us on the shoreline of the Dead Sea. You get a chance to see this up close. This is amazing. What do you think of all this? Special.
This is exactly it. Experiencing prophecy coming true, being part of it, being involved with it is something so spiritually uplifting. And yeah, this is what we're seeing right now. You see with your own eyes this beautiful vegetation happening here. Just shows that there is life coming out from the Dead Sea. And sometimes when we're lucky, we can literally see fish coming out from these different sinkholes.
And you've captured still photos of them. You do great still photography here on a regular basis.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, this is what I do. It's to document, to keep on exploring, to document. And my first time I came out here, I literally saw fish and I took those pictures, not realizing these pictures, what kind of significance this has to the entire world, spiritual world.
You know, the God of Israel is moving, and Israel, his land, is at the center of it. It's amazing to see. And what a privilege to be here, Noam. Thank you so much,
Very much welcome.
For bringing us inside the miracles that are taking place at the Dead Sea today. It was a real privilege, my friend. Keep up the great work. We'll see you here again soon on the boat.
Yeah.
Noam, thank you so much, my friend.
Fantastic.
Noam Badin, absolutely amazing. He is on the front lines of what God is doing in his land today, including here at the Dead Sea. An unlikely, but man, what a significant story. The Dead Sea, the shoreline of the Dead Sea, coming to life. And we're bringing you a front row seat here on the Watchman and at Kufi. So join our movement. You see the website, you see the phone number on your screen. Call, click, and join us today so we can continue to bring you these cutting edge stories that you just won't see anywhere else. For Noam Badin from the Dead Sea, until next time, God bless you, and remember, never hold your peace.